Welcome to More Than a Parent, a podcast exploring who we are and what we want outside of being a parent, so we can create an integrated lifestyle with impact both in and out of our homes. I'm Kaz Gaddis, and I invite you to join me to be your more, live your and.
Guess who's back once again. Kaz is back. Let me clear my throat. I'm back. All right. So I don't even know if, okay, so that just happened. So welcome back to the More Than a Parent podcast. If you hear a baby crying in the background, you know you're in the right place. So a couple things. One, I had to sing Guess Who's Back because it has been a hot minute since we have been published an episode, because that's almost English there. It's been a hot minute since we've published an episode. But in the background, there's been a lot of really cool and transformative and funny things that they're real things that have happened. And so I would share some of that here today. And I am super stoked. Happy 2020, y'all. Welcome to a new decade of awesomeness. But no, I'm super excited about today's guest because it's all so perfect timing and everything is just in flow. So welcome to this podcast episode. This is episode number 4. And I wanted to take a minute to share, insert here, the why there's been a little bit of a pause between when I started originally, when you started listening, and then I was just like, okay, see you soon. And you didn't even know, because I didn't even know. There's a lot of learning lessons in life, especially when you're a parent. There's just so much more surrender. Excuse me again. There's just so much more surrender each and every corner. Just when you think you're like, I got this, I surrendered, and then there's more. But no, so I started the podcast, right when we had just given birth to our son, Quest, 17 days into his living, right? And so today is actually the 17th. Can you tell what my favorite number is? 17. So it's been, I believe, I want to say, I'm really bad at math and I should have looked at the number, and I did at one point, but then I think I'm trying to forget it. It's been literally 2 months, maybe 3 months since I last published an episode. And so, hi, how are you? Yeah, it actually has been, because now that I'm doing the math in my head, it's been 2.5 months or so, because now Quest has just turned 4 months. So a lot of surrender with having him here. And what I realized, for those of you that are either content creators or entrepreneurs, is a lot of times our intention of what we are creating and really being realistic with the timing that we are setting aside for it to take can sometimes be kind of a lesson there. And so for me, since we last were published, since our last episode together, I have about 20 shows ready. So, hey, who's going to be consistent this year? This chick. I am here for you. I'm here with you. But no, so we in the background have done a lot of interviews. The challenge there was I was not giving enough time to actually have those all rendered and edited. Hear the baby in the background. That was not a cat. Oh, that was a cat. I digress. So anyway, so just learning that piece was a big thing. And then of course, having an infant and a toddler. Here's the deal. Here's the whole reason that I'm sharing this is, up until a while ago, I was super, into the whole perfectionist thing. And it's still an ever evolving piece, right? Of releasing some of that, surrendering some of that. Done is better than perfect. It's a motto, a mantra, a way of being that I've started embracing really since having kids. Because if you wait for things to be perfect, if you wait for you to have the energy or the space or whatever the resource is, time, money, fill in the blank, right? Will you actually ever do the thing? And so for me, it was like, okay, well, I birthed a baby. Let me birth this podcast. Let me just get it out because it's had been a while, right? I had mentioned it had been a while that I was brewing this concept and that it was just in me to share out. And so, just like the baby, see what I did there? So anyways, again, I apologize. Thank you for your awesomeness and tuning back in, or if it's your first time, welcome. You will love it. We're very excited to have you here. But yeah, so that was going on. And so the episode that you're about to see, we actually recorded in December. And so if you're listening to this when it's published, we're in January. So it's been exactly actually a month. Um, and so who we have with us will be Lisa Michaud. And first off, she is just cool. She's awesome. But I wanted to kind of build a little bit about what was going on as we started that interview, because it's very different than any of the other interviews I had done, in which normally we have some chat time, some connection time at the beginning. And we just went right in because it just got so real that we were just like, we have to share this, right? Like all the things happening, we must share because it's so real. And if you guys don't see other people that like you have all these different ideas and desires and interests, if you don't see us, hot mama messing, as Lisa said on the podcast, then will you not do it then, right? Because then we might wait for when it makes sense to do something. Parenting does not make sense, right? Like, so why are we waiting for the rest of our life to make sense, in the sense of, see what I did there? When it's the right time to make that jump, right? Make that leap, whatever that is for you. So this is me leaping, showing you, look, I did it. And then I messed up. And here I go, continue leaping. So leap along with me. Um, so another thing with this is you're going to see some awesome kid cameos in this podcast. I will tune lower the crying at the beginning. I just wanted you to really feel feel the scene. Basically, my newborn was crying. Yeah, so he was about 2 months old at the time. Is that still newborn? The young baby was crying. And then my toddler was just like not having anything. And we had no idea why, because she's a toddler. So there's all that going on. And it was a hot messing moment, hot mama messing moment. Um, we wanted to also make sure, Lisa and I decided to just go with it because both of us are super transparent. Also, it's just really funny, right? Because like this is us, right? This is momness, momhood. But also there is a correlation with being a mom and then being your more, and the different pieces that we share some on the call, like the unspoken expectations, who we were before kids and who we are now. There's no way to ever be the same exact person. Like, things are going to change, right? And with that too, the things that you're wanting to do, you may have to give yourself some grace. There may be opportunities for you to expand and be more in surrender, and also be more in flow. Because I have never been in this much flow. So I invite you to flow with me. Um, and the last thing I wanted to share is those expectations that I had just mentioned, those spoken and unspoken. It's not just the expectations we have to other people, but it's our own expectations of ourselves. And if we don't love ourselves through this new growth, through this new becoming and this unbecoming of being a parent, but also you, um, like the energy that you put out and the um, kind of like the self challenge that you'll face because you're not accepting yourself in that, it's just going to make things more challenging for you or for others, right? Because then they may feel out of wrath. Um, but yeah, so I hope that this serves as an example that it is possible. I'm obviously nowhere near perfect, and I have some amazing Caribbean time going on. Also, two things that are just funny. If you're watching this episode, my son just turned 4 months old, have not done my eyebrows, and I'm looking at my camera right now, looking at me, and it's like they're looking back at me. So, I need to make that appointment to get threaded. Also, since our last podcast interview, and I think it's actually on hers, my air plants died. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. Exhibit C is somehow still living. So I literally crunched up Post-it note paper because it was bothering me that nothing was there. I'm like, can you even see? So just being real. That's Post-it paper right there. And it's green-ish. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the interview. It literally was just so awesome. And it has to do with goal setting, being a goal getter, which is also Lisa's podcast name. So go check her out. What better time to hear this, to see my hot messness, my hot mama messness. And also, like, I encourage you, please be a hot mama mess with me, alongside me. Because if we don't do these things now, when will we, right? Like, someone's waiting to hear, to see, to connect to you. And because we're so afraid of messing up, we're maybe not showing up. And so, again, I'll just leave you with that. So, on to our guest, Lisa Michaud. I have this right here. I'm going to be reading this in a semi-smooth way. Lisa Michaud is a recovering overachiever. She's a people-pleasing overachiever and perfectionist recoverer. I just made that up because I totally did not say that right. I'm going to say this one more time. Lisa Michaud is a recovering overachiever, people-pleasing perfectionist. Just kidding. She is still all of those things. At the age of 27, she faced the reality that she may only have 1 or 2 years left to live. With that wake-up call, she decided to get out of her own way and make the most of the time that she had left. While her health scare was just a scare, and thank God for that, and she's healthy today, that was a huge wake-up call for her, and a call that she needed, right, to answer. And she was able to decide right then and there to stop putting her dreams on the back burner, right? We can relate to that. To stop waiting until she was quote unquote ready, and to start living life for herself full on today. Her mission, which I love, is to help other women like you, like me, like us, be able to stop waiting until you're, again, that whole air quote, ready, or that the right time or that one day comes about. She's committed to helping women around the world uncover and get over their fears so that they too can live the life they want to be living if they only had a year or two to live. As a success coach, speaker, host of the Goalden Girls Podcast, again, check it out, real estate investor, wife, and mama, on any given day, you can find Lisa chasing both toddlers and big dreams in beautiful Vancouver, Canada. Are we ready for this episode or what? So here, without further ado, is Lisa. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello.
Love life, hey?
Oh my gosh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Oh my gosh,
She is
so
being my
real,
favorite
Alex.
animal right now. That is how I am.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Good. You are just rocking all the things. I am in awe. You're amazing.
Thank you. I'm like, am I? No, I appreciate it. Let me tell you,
Yes.
It's a wild freaking ride for sure. And I know you know, because like you live it as well. So
Motherhood is freaking insane. It really is. And I just want to say right here, right now, from one mom to another, you're doing an amazing job. And I know it doesn't always feel like it.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap, what is happening in my world? But you're doing amazing.
Let me tell you, it's like the most humbling wild ride. You're like, I got this. And the next second you're like, what did I have? What is have? Who am I? Like, it's like
I have tears in my eyes. How real that is. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So, but I appreciate you. No, it's awesome. Like, so Quest usually co-hosts when he's around, and it's hilarious because sometimes he ends up sounding like Chewbacca, and he's very talkative at times, and other times he's super chill. So it's good time. So okay,
Hilarious.
so thank you, and I'm so sorry for being late. Thank you for being so awesome.
You know what? I feel like this is one of the things that I'm on a mission to do, like in my spare time.
Yeah.
Like really, I
Spare
think
time?
we need
Is there-
to. Yeah, that's the joke. But I think we just need to be okay with being moms and being entrepreneurs and being friends and having those things be messy sometimes. I really do. And so, like, if I am going to go out on a limb and show up that way, then I need to also support other women. And I'm so happy to do that. Like this is the least of my worries in a day.
I love it. Well, and I actually was thinking about that today, and it's like, I want to talk about, like, we're in the podcast. This is us being in the podcast. If you don't mind, do you mind?
No, I just got to warn you that my kid, so she might be home at some point and she may be doing some cameos. So
I mean, seriously, so I've not done this before, but if you want, like, all of this can be in it. I just think it's like, this is the real life. This is the behind and the in front scenes. So I'm in,
because I would so much rather show what it's really like and have people hear it, see it, cry about it, or maybe that's just us, I don't know. Then show this Instagram perfect picture of what it's supposed to look like, and then have people trying to aspire to be that, and then thinking there's something wrong with them when they don't fit that, because none of us do, and thinking there's something wrong with them. So I would so much rather be open and honest and show all of the things, good and bad and ugly, and my child might be screaming for noodles or mommy, or I don't know, you never know. So I'm down.
You mean like my toddler just yeah, no, I'm all about that. And I think that that's why I was like, can we start now, because this is so minus if you're listening to us, and like I'll make sure to adjust the levels of certain screams that just happen, but otherwise it's like, this is what it is. And the reason I thought it'd be cool to start now, and just so you know, what I normally say before the show is I do the intro beforehand. I mean, sorry, just kidding. I do it afterhand. So I can share a little bit about like what we talked about and that kind of jazz. So I'll have that then. But as far as, I love how organic we're being. I was actually thinking about that today, as far as so I already was on Caribbean time before having kids at times. Like, it's just kind of like the essence of me at times, but it's like a whole new level now. And I was getting so good before them, like at not being so much on Caribbean time, which for those listening or watching, it means sometimes you're just a little bit more delayed in your arrival as you're, and so like, but when you're an entrepreneur, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this, Lisa. Yeah, Chewy. How is like the navigating between, see, I know, right? He's like,
my heart is exploding, the cutest sounds ever.
So if you're watching us, like, look at this little pudge. He is just almost 3 months old, and he's just a big marshmallow full of love.
Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, sorry. So my thoughts as an entrepreneur on Caribbean time, my heart melting, listening to these sounds.
It's like you get me, I get you. I'm loving this. But yeah, so where is the fine line between being the message and being an example of what you're trying to do, right? Of what you're doing as far as being a mom, a parent, everything else, and an entrepreneur, and being taken quote unquote seriously. But more than that, it's more of the respect, like you respecting others. Because like I was thinking today, I'm like, there's a good amount of my podcast where I've had to, at least over the last week, I've had to be a little bit late for. And I've learned, it was not easy because of the recovering perfectionist piece. I've learned to give myself grace, because I think it's so important when you're a mama and you're trying to do all the other things, because otherwise the energy you bring and you go through doing those things is not going to serve anybody. Mm-hmm. Right?
100%.
But then like how do you navigate? So I'm asking you, Lisa, how do you navigate, I'm asking her that exact question. How do you navigate the balance between being the essence of what you want to be, not portray, but truly who you are, right? Like without the filters, and also support other women to do the same. See what I'm saying? Without, almost like without coming off as like someone being like, oh, she doesn't respect my time, or, like.
Oh, are we specifically talking to the lateness, or like all the other elements of hot mama messing?
Yeah, all of the imperfectly perfect pieces of being a mom and all the other mores, right? And that showing up of that.
I think something that has helped guide me, that maybe this might resonate with some of you guys too, listening, is like always checking back in on myself and asking myself, okay, am I at least showing up with honesty and with integrity? And in a lot of cases, to be honest with you, I prep people. I'm like, hey, you want to come over? You know what? I'm not going to have food. I will have wine. I've always got wine, but I'm not going to have food. We're going to have to order in. It's going to be a mess. I may get you to fold laundry. And that's where I'm at right now in my life. And so I think what changes that and what makes me feel okay, because let me say this, you got to feel okay with that. You got to feel good about how you're showing up, whether it is perfectly punctual or whether it is on, Caribbean time minus a day, that's plus a day, I guess. You got to feel good about that. But honestly, a big part of what I do is I just am honest about what I can do and what I can't do. And so that means that, I have a text message from my friend this week where I was like, if you want to come over, I was like, we're late. We've had a rough day. I'm not dressed. I am probably going to leave to brush my teeth as a favor to you. Is that okay? And she was like, yep, I'm in. I can do dishes too. It's one of my specialties. And I was like, this is the only kind of friendship and connection that I actually have space for right now, for like 99 days out of 100. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's, I think too, with parenthood, everything's changing all the time. Motherhood is always evolving. And I think as entrepreneurs, as women, as mothers, as parents, we always have to be checking into and being like, okay, is this still the right balance for me? If I'm still using the excuse that I haven't brushed my teeth and my child's a mess and it's a breakdown in like 20 years, we got to talk, Lisa. Like now you're just using an excuse. Now it's just become a pattern. But if I'm seriously showing up as my best and I'm being open and authentic to who I am, if I am being honest about that with other people and saying, this is what you can expect. And here's what you can also expect, I should say, like, I will still show up and try and be the best friend I can. I'll still be as present as I can in this moment, which won't be perfect, but it'll be what it's going to be. And I'm still ready to have a good time with you. And if you're ready to have a good time with me, or if you're okay with me being a little late on a podcast, or you're okay with my kid making sounds and your kid screaming, then we're here for it. And if not, then the amount of time, the slice of my pie that I have to give you is just significantly smaller. And that's okay too. It goes to another season. So that's how I balance that out. And that's what it looks like for me. And I'm always checking in to find out, is that still the right balance for me?
Yeah. I love that. And I think that another piece, so, hello. I was like, I feel echoey. I think that another piece to that, so that goes across the board, right? Whether it's friendship, whether it's entrepreneurship, and like, I love when other people in business also understand and get it, and like, you just jump in for each other, right? Like, you can do all the things that are needed to help each other float and continue forward. The other piece is the spoken versus unspoken expectations. And like, not even with other people, but like the expectations for yourself, right? Like,
those are the hardest.
Yeah.
Those are always the hardest. Yes, absolutely. Because if you're used to always being on time, or you're used to always having a clean house, or you're used to always being super professional, or showering, whatever high expectations you had of yourself.
I love that. High expectations, like showering, within 48 hours.
Totally.
Winning.
Right? So yes, I think, and this is, we're going to go real deep here because we're going right into
Let's go. Seatbelt in, buckled, ready to go. Oh no. And then as soon as I said that, you froze.
About, right? And
okay.
anytime.
Oh, sorry, Lisa, whatever you said froze completely. You had like this really cool Vogue look where your arms were behind your head. And you're just like, yeah, but then like it just stopped. so re-say it. It's like we were ready, but like the connection was not.
Here's the truth. It is that all of the things that high expectations you think that other people have, or the judgments that other people have, or whatever criticism you think other people are saying about you, is only just a reflection of how you're criticizing yourself.
Yes.
And so all of those moments, I think, are just the biggest teaching moments. Like, I really think that just like growing a business and having a child, it is the best personal growth experience. And any time that you're feeling like judged, or you're not meeting expectations, or you think that you're not meeting other people's expectations, it's actually that you're not meeting your own. And it's just an opportunity to look inside and be like, whoa, what do I think? Is this still true? Is this still what's going to work for me? And you get to choose. Like, if your high expectations are working for you and serving you, keep them. But I know for a lot of parents, when you have a child, those have to change in some sense. Like, all of a sudden, unless you've got, you're a Kardashian and you've got 6 nannies and 4 housekeepers and a house manager and all the things, like your pie is being split. And a big part of that goes to tiny humans.
Yeah.
And so those expectations, they do have to change. They do have to adapt. But if you haven't done that work to figure out, okay, what is now, what is right for me, what feels good for me, what is my minimum,
Mm-hmm.
what is my enough, then it's going to be really hard. All of it is going to be hard.
Yeah. No, totally. 100. I'm so happy we had like this pre-show talk that everyone gets to jump in and listen to, because I think it's so valuable. Like done is better than perfect, right? And just getting the things, whatever the things are for you, like whatever your passions or the business, the message inside of you. And then knowing that as long as you know what your expectations are for yourself, like there's this thing called unspoken expectations, right? Things that we sometimes expect from others without telling them that we expect it. Like it's always awesome with our spouses or significant others. I said no, but I expected you, right?
Exactly.
to get me the flowers. I just said I didn't like flowers. I didn't say I didn't want flowers. But
I know when I said I didn't want a Christmas gift, but I actually did, and now it's Christmas morning, and I'm upset, and all the stores are closed.
Yeah. When we said budget for our gifts, I didn't think it applied to my right, like all these different things. I've been there, as you can tell, but it's like we have also unspoken expectations in ourselves. And so as soon as we have that self-acceptance and so forth, that really helps smooth out a lot of the experience. Oh, that's your baby.
That's mine.
Okay. I was like, I was totally listening. I'm like, is that my baby? I'm like, she sounds so different. That's hilarious. Okay.
That's mine. And I'm pretty sure she's looking for her lammy, but it sounds like mommy, but it's not me. She wants her lamb, not mom.
Is that, are there times where you're just like, yeah, she wants me, and you're like, no, it's a lamb?
And I go, exactly. Yeah.
She toys with your emotions
All the time.
So I love it. Even though of course it's sad during the time, but I love it that you're like, yes, she does. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about what has this adventurous life that we just started just going right into and just putting out there. What has it?
I think we're still in it.
Yeah, this is like, we're just there. But what has it been like for you to become a parent? Like, what has that journey been for you as a person? I feel like I got real serious. I'm like, and how did that make you feel?
I think could you just start with like a bigger question? I feel like that wasn't deep enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm still fairly new in my parenting journey. My daughter is 22 months old, and
mine too.
When I got your email to support this, I was like, no way, we have the same age babe. So that's so fun. And I think she might actually make a cameo here. So, wow.
Hi.
So we're just recording a podcast here with all the babies.
Babies and babies.
And babies. So, for me, honestly, I didn't know when we'd be parents. I thought it would be like in several years when we had everything figured out and everything ready. And then I found out from my OB that I may never be able to have natural kids. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, this thing that's supposed to be in my 5-year plan. Now I have to maybe accelerate that and bring that up. I love it. And so, we did go through pregnancy loss, and we were lucky that we were able to get pregnant. And it turns out that after thinking we may never be able to have children, to let's do it now instead of in 5 years. Hi, love.
Go high five to our support team.
Yeah,
like we each tag in for each other. That's awesome.
We do. So after all that, we ended up becoming. Oh, my heart. We ended up becoming parents kind of by surprise. And, it was such a roller coaster, I thought, until I actually had a child. And I was like, oh, this is a roller coaster. This is
you're like, oh, that was just like, we were just on the track going like horizontal.
We were on It's a Small World, and now we're on Matterhorn.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. But honestly, I feel like becoming a mom has just been such an incredible journey. And I had so many people telling me, so many moms are going to judge you, and mom guilt and all of these things. And I've been really lucky, I would say, in a lot of ways. And also I think a lot of the personal development work I did beforehand as a coach and through leadership programs and things like that, I think it taught me that in those moments that it's just a teaching moment. It's just a chance for me to learn. And so I've been able to come to this journey without a lot of guilt. There's been a lot of hard times. I've struggled. I've cried on my daughter's floor. I've cried on my floor. We've cried together. But I do feel like I have this innate, this confidence that has grown through motherhood that is really cool and something I never had before. So even though it was like this huge surprise, and even though it's a huge challenge, I truly am so grateful to get to be here and to have this experience. And I just see her as this like this mirror for everything that that I still have to work on and get to work on. And I can either curse that, which some days I do, or I could see it as this amazing blessing. And that's really helpful. And same thing with everybody else. You know, when all the other moms are struggling or other people say things that maybe I might take as criticism or judgment, I again look at that as like, okay, where do I still have room to become more confident, or am I, you know, just check in, am I still making the right decision for me? And I think it's actually brought me so much closer to who I really am, and so much more confident in my ability to make the right decisions for me, for my family, and to be the best version of me for everyone around me.
That's amazing. And that's like the goal, right? There's so many different ways to get to that goal as far as being the best self of yourself, the best you, so that you can then pour into others versus pouring from a place of emptiness, like not having enough for yourself. Right?
Yeah,
did you have something to say? I saw you like, yes, girl.
I just think that's such a mistake that so many people make. And especially, you know, I work with a lot of moms and I have a lot of mom friends, and so many of them are like, oh, I'm just exhausted and I'm just so tired and I haven't gone to a yoga class in 2 years or whatever that is. And you're right. Like, and then they're wondering why their kid isn't sleeping, or they're wondering why it's so hard and how they can't, their relationship is falling apart. And of course that happens because, and I heard a good friend, Matt Corker of mine, say this. He says, you know, if you're exhausted, all you're putting out is exhaust, and it's just fumes.
I like that. Yeah.
And so everybody around you is just getting the exhaust fumes. And so of course those things start to fall apart. So I love that. And it's definitely something I've had to work on. You know, mentally it's very easy to say, yeah, obviously you need to take time for yourself. But for me, I know personally, I definitely had some limiting beliefs around the kind of mom that does things for herself is a selfish kind of mom. And so I've had to rework that and rewire that. And now to connect both my underlying story and belief with what I know to be logically true. And I think that's what a lot of women, that's the magic, right? When you can connect those two things, you can go for a run, you can go for yoga, you can get your nails done, you can go for a happy hour, you can have a sleep, and you can do those things and still feel good about yourself as you, who you are, as more than a parent and as a parent.
Yeah, no, totally. I think, I think 100% of what you're saying. And the piece that's helped me with that personally is intention. Like, what is your intention in that moment? Or like, what are you envisioning happening? Because a lot of times you might start feeling guilt potentially, or whatever the feel is in the moment. But if you reflect back to what's the intention for that moment, or for that child, or for yourself, it kind of helps bring it back to base, bring it back to center.
That's so good. I love that. What is my intention? That's so good. So good. Because you never have the intention of like, my intention is to be a bad mom in this moment.
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever, right? That's so good. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just like, so I don't know, you tell me, because so you've been through this whole journey as a stay-at-home mom, building a business, right? Yeah. And like, for me, so I've had my daughter at home for the last few months, probably the last 5 or 6 months full time. We just put her into preschool part time. And for me, or with her, or for me with my new son, there's times that I multitask. And by that, I mean, I have them and I have them doing something, and then I'm doing something that I need to do, whether that's housework or whether that's for my business, right? Mm-hmm. And there's times where you start feeling all sorts of things. Like for me, it feels like, do I value her? Does she think that I don't value her if I'm doing something else? And then remembering the intention, the why for that moment. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, so
can
good.
Help bring it back. Yeah. So how has that looked like for you? Because like I'm bowing to you, like you've been stay at home and creating not just like a family, but creating your thing too. So like, what has that looked like for you? Obviously it changes all the time, but overall.
Changes all the time. Yes. And thank you. And you know what? I'm bowing down to you because I know what it's like to have my little one and to have another little one, like incredible wow. I'm sure everybody listening is learning so much from you too. So we just got my daughter into daycare a few months ago, and it has been game changing. I know. So good. So good. So, my husband also works away for 2 weeks at a time. So he's gone for 2 weeks and I solo parent and we don't have family close by.
Yeah.
And so, for me, this has changed and this has shifted. And I think something that kind of helps and is I've heard several people that I really respect, Terry Cole, Danielle Laporte, Dr. Shafali, all say in different ways that you're going to screw up your kids in some way.
Yeah.
And so
because the more you try not to,
yeah, then you give them like some other complex, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that first of all has just been like, okay, whatever I do, there's going to be something that she's going to have to work out in therapy, right? There's going to be something that she's going to have to evolve and release that. And then I love what you just said about intention too, about that moment. Like, I really do think sometimes I'm super honest there. I'm like, mommy just has to write these 2 emails, or I'm going to do this social media post, or I'm going to go live and do this, or I'm going to write this email and then we're going to play and then we're going to do this. Like, that has definitely been, I just try and just be open and honest with her. Even honestly, when she was a little newborn, I would still be honest and be like, I'm just going to put you down. I'm going to go do this thing. And sometimes, especially when my husband's away, that's not necessarily work. It's like, I got to do the laundry, or I have to make the food because no one else is going to do it, or I have to take our garbage and recycling out, or I have to do any number of things that have to get done. I have to pack your lunch. I have to get your nighttime routine ready, whatever it is. And so I think just being that open dialogue is something that I hope will keep her out of some therapy at least. I hope that saves some money on therapy down the road. And just being open and honest about it. I think another part of it, honestly, has been including her in as much as I can. I'm really big on bringing her along. Yeah. I also recognize that that's not the same as one-on-one quality time, but I do realize that that brings other amazing gifts. So I'm on our Strata Council. So I brought her to pretty much all of our Strata Council meetings. She comes with me to a lot of networking events. I have taken her to women's co-working days. And I'm so grateful to get spaces that include women like this. And also I've consciously tried to curate those things. There's been the holidays time. There's so many holiday invites that go out this time of year. And with almost every invite that I've gotten, I'll email the organizer and be like, can I bring my kid? And if I can't, then it means that I only can go to maybe one of those, as opposed to if I can bring my kid, I can go to more of those and bring her along. So I think including her too has been such a gift, because it's so fun for her to get to be there. She just kids, they brighten people's days. Other people want to spend time with her and connect too. And I think it's showing her, hey, you know what? Like, she's seeing a whole wide variety of things, a wide variety of communities. She'll get a sense for what she does like, what she doesn't like. And she'll get a sense for what it means that you don't have to put your dreams on the back burner to be a parent, that you don't have to, just be sitting at home and doing things or being unhappy, that you can chase your dreams and be a parent. And I hope that she sees that and knows that she can do and have anything that she wants.
Yeah, no, totally. And that in its essence, I had somebody else on the show, excuse me, and I'm not sure when they'll play before or after this episode, but they were sharing about like being the example instead of telling your child they can do anything and be anything. Right? Like, yes. Like full body goosebumps. Like, there's such an essence and power in that. And so everything you said, I love that. And I love that you are proactive in looking at ways to like weave her in, because even if, so for example, our daughters are 22 months old, that energy around them and what they're seeing, even though they're making their own meaning out of all of it, excuse me, that brings such power and empowers them because they're getting to be exposed to so much. And I think that that's really awesome. Even I believe, I don't know what you think, but I think even during not conception, because that just got kind of awkward there, but even when they're in our bellies, I'm like at conception. No, but like even when they're in our bellies and we're like going through life, like all the energy and feelings and emotions and all that, for sure there's science behind some of that. But that's impacting them too. And it's cool to see once they come out little traits, and I'm like, I wonder if that was from that season of life,
That's so cool. I totally agree. I'm sure that they're going to look back, and this is where always coming back to, how am I feeling here? And is this working for me? And those questions of reflection within ourselves, to make sure you're bringing the right energy to that. And it's not like this stress pressure, because I think there can also be this pressure to do it all.
Yeah.
Right. And this pressure to, well, I've got to be super mom or super dad, right? I've got to have the most Instagrammable birthday parties, and I've got to, you know, be hosting all the play dates, and I've got to be still doing the triathlons, and I got to be making a podcast, or like that energy is the wrong energy to bring. And I totally have to check in on myself, because I am an overachieving, people pleasing perfectionist, and it is a bad recipe for if I'm not really aware of it. So I think that, I love that you said that, because it is the energy you bring to it, the energy of it being empowering and it being exciting and it being like, look, we get to do this together and we get to create our dreams, as opposed to one more thing to do, one more stressful thing, one more thing we're late to, one more thing that we have to show up and pretend like everything's okay, when all I want to do is get in my pajamas and sit at home on the couch and cry.
Yeah. With that being said, loving this, let me clear my throat. Okay, I can't sing either. But with that being said, what is a way that works for you, if there is like a certain thing you can pinpoint that maybe can serve someone listening in or watching, on how to reset? Because I'm right there with you when like the recovering perfectionist piece, and like just like you're excited about your intention and how you want to be showing up. And so when you're in a moment where like things are just not working out to be and do and have whatever it is that you were intending in that moment, how do you reset yourself to be able to then go forward?
Oh, good question. So I think I'll tell you some of the things that I know work for me, but I do think it's really personal. And I do think it's like you're your own best expert, right? And you got to figure out what's going to work for you. And so some of the things that I know I try and do is I learned this in my prenatal yoga class, and I don't really want to do it in case it comes out totally awkward on here, but I do like a horse lips, like,
okay. Yeah.
And that actually releases a lot of tension from your body. Sometimes I also like physically shake out, and there's a lot of research, very interesting research around body movement and shaking in particular, that can really release and reset things as well.
Yeah.
I'm also a talker. And so I will, you know, last night actually was one of those times where I was like, why am I'm so anxious? And I'm like trying to get my daughter to eat her beans faster so we can just get to the library. And it was like, whoa, what the heck? And I was just like, horse lips and shake it out a little bit. And I was just said to her, honestly, I was like, hey, you know what? Mom is struggling here, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on for me. And this is kind of what I'm feeling. And she, you know, she's 22 months. It's not like she is like coaching me through this or my therapist, but I hope that she's hearing how I'm going through this. And so I think I'm just being honest about, okay, you know what? Tonight we're going to release this, or you know what? We're going to reset, and we're going to put on a song, and we're going to dance for 2 minutes, and then we're going to, you know, be ready, and we're going to go. Or I'm just going to send a message and let this person know we're going to be 2 hours late, whatever that is. Like, but really like letting it go for 5 minutes. Because if you're already a stressed up mess, 5 minutes isn't going to make a difference. So taking 5 minutes to reset in whatever way that is for you, and checking in on like, okay, what do I actually need here? Do I need to just reset my energy, let them know I'm going to be late, and show up the way that we are? Or do I need to say, no, this isn't going to happen right now, and that's okay too?
Yeah. He just like bounced. That was funny. But yes, to what you just said. And it's amazing what movement does help release or help you receive.
Yes. Movement, breath, and talking.
Yes.
Like those are the 3 things that I find. And it's kind of like, I feel like it's a bit of a menu. Like you can look at it. Like some days I just need to talk. I can quickly be like, whew, Mama just had a tough moment there. I'm all right here. I'm back. And some days I'm like, I need all of them. I need to eat everything on this buffet menu so that I can reset myself. So those are some things that work for me, but I think it's really important to also listen to yourself and understand what you need in that moment to reset.
I love that. Yeah. So for anyone like checking out this episode, take some of that and just try it on for size, right? Just play with it and see how it feels. And it could be that one works better than the other in the moment, you know, and just kind of just see what resonates with you in that moment. Cause I know it really helps. And humor is another element that like, it's really funny when they're having a meltdown in public. Like I'll be at the grocery store and I'll look at them and be like, and how do you really feel? You know, and I'm actually totally being sarcastic. And I'm also embracing letting them have their moment. Obviously they're not like, there's a certain level of that moment that they're in. But it's so funny to see other people observe that moment. You know,
what a gift you give to your kids too. I love that. I'm learning so much from you too. That's so cool. And I just want to acknowledge
I'm not saying
that
it doesn't always look nice in the moment. I'm just saying, but thank you. You're so sweet. Go ahead.
No, that it's just so cool because what you've done is you haven't attached that moment, that meltdown to anything that you're doing. And that's also another piece of it. And whether it's your kid's meltdown, by the way, or whether that's your own meltdown, like that moment of realization of like, okay, there's this storm happening, whether it's my own or my child's, and being able to recognize that and see that separate from you, and coming back to whether that's humor or breath or humility, or just like flat out things are a mess and that's okay. I think seeing that separation is such a cool thing. So I just want to call that out. That's another strategy I think that so many women and men can use.
Yeah, thank you. And so, Lisa, so I am like so in love with you. Like this is the first time we've connected, but I'm just like, I just love you. And so
I feel the same way. It's so mutual.
So this is, you're stuck with me. This is happening. So with everything that you're being and everything that you're creating in the world, and all this juiciness of like, your own, I just hit the baby. I went to point and I forgot he was there and I was like, Burr. So anyway, so everything that you are, your essence, your experience, and then also like how you're showing up with just like the way you serve, right? Like how are you making an impact today? How does that look like for you?
So my business, I'm a coach and a speaker, and I run a couple group programs and I have a podcast called Goalden Girls Podcast. And I think here's the thing about humans that I think we forget sometimes. And that is that we are like one human. And so there is no like work you and like happy hour you. Well, there might be a happy hour you if you're on the table, but there's no like mom you and like, like it's just one you.
Yeah.
And so there's like, it's a fallacy to think that we can be different in all these different facets of our life. Like we are. And that's not to say again that, if I dance on tables at happy hour, I may not dance on tables if I'm in an investor meeting.
I mean, depends on how much more they're willing to invest. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's the price, but it's there. Yeah, everyone has a price. But it just, I think that it's so impossible to separate it. So like me as a mother, that shows up in everything that I do. It shows up that now I have a different level of understanding and compassion, and also like cheerleading and butt kicking around the moms in my programs. Cause I'm like, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I know it's hard. And yes, I can relate, and this can help you. So let's do this. So I feel like it's actually, I should probably be paying my daughter. Well, we're paying a lot anyways. That's another topic.
I know, I was about to say like, and you'll be paying for the rest of your life. So.
Yes, ma'am. So like it helps me in so many things. Like I can now use that to serve my people. And my podcast, I know I get so many people saying, I love when she makes a little cameo, or, people saying, I love when you bring your daughter to an event, because I don't know if you've ever thought this before you had kids, or anybody, I don't know if anybody listens to your podcast if they don't have kids. So many, I think women specifically are afraid of what having a child is going to do for their lives and for their careers. And so being able,
I totally was. Yeah.
Me too. I didn't want to change my last name because I was like, when I got married, I was like, I don't want that. That's going to ruin my whole career. Man, I was young and didn't know. But I think that this just helps me because I'm like, I've been there. I understand those fears, and this is the real truth. And so I believe that being a mom really does help with that mission. One of my fundamental beliefs is that you can have it all. You don't do it all, but you can have it all. And so it's pretty cool that I now get to show that and show what it looks like. And I really do really try and show the authentic side of it, not just the perfect Instagram, look how cute my kid is. But like this crap is hard.
Yeah, it is.
And it feels messy. And I have to remind myself on like a weekly, if not daily basis, that it is a marathon and not a sprint.
Yes.
And that's another thing that really helps me too. So
yeah. And speaking of that, especially this podcast will air towards the beginning of the year, but really at any time of the year, I think it's so important to the whole go back to basics or base or center, all the things that I just mentioned because I couldn't pick a word. So I said 3, but going back to your intentions, going back to the center of it all, because originally I had asked you about like, how do you reset? And, in my own, okay, so really quick, I'm trying to not make a long story, but with my podcast, I've been feeling like such a failure, right? Like it came up for me because I have like 17, 18 shows in the bank and I haven't really put them out yet. I haven't been consistent on my episodes airing yet. And normally that's a thing I do. I'm a marketer. So I'm like, oh, I know how all the things are supposed to be, right? But then there's going back to like, what's your intention? To be an example, to support where you are, right? And to go from there into like being a goal getter, you don't just like go and wake up every morning and have this awesome routine and just get things done. It's a process to learn how you specifically work and your time clock and your like mindset to be able to do the things. And so today I actually had a shift from where I was like, you know what? The whole point of me starting this year was to get it out. And like, now I'm accountable to continuing it on. And so it was just like a runway to start. And then next year I'm setting up now the next few weeks to really set myself up for 2020. And I share that because, again, it doesn't matter the time of the year, but if we just step back and look at, okay, what's our intention? Like, how do we go forward and really look at being honest with ourselves and having some of that self-compassion, then you're able to reset and still go forward and do the things. And so my mom brain just went to like, why am I mentioning that right now? Because I cannot remember the point that I was trying to. But anyway, back to you. But like, it felt like it was connecting. And then the more I talked, I'm like, no, it's going away.
I think that's I think that ties in a couple places. I think that ties to, that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, thank you. I got you. You got me, actually. Yeah. So it's like the little things become the longer things, and remembering that center, remembering that intention will help you along the blips along the road, because they will be there no matter how awesome you plan or however you think things will go. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I do too, that this might help other women and parents as well, which I want to share it. So I always plan my weeks, and I'm super consistent about this as a goal getter for sure. But one of the tweaks I do in there is I always ask myself, what is one thing I did last week that I love or that I'm proud of? And I think that's something that's really important, and that's missing from most of life, is we're so busy doing and going and getting that we don't look back and celebrate how far we've come.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? Like, for the story that you just shared, 1 year ago, you would have been like, I have a podcast. I have 17 episodes ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I am awesome, right? But here you are a year later, you're like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be more. I should be consistent, blah, blah. And we just should all over ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the things last week I had a crap week, and I sat down. I was like, I got nothing to celebrate. And I wrote down, so many things. I was like, oh, I crushed it last week. This is amazing. But I would not have felt that way. I would not have recognized that if if that wasn't a weekly practice, if that wasn't something that I did intentionally. So that does help remind me that I'm on this marathon, that even if it's just like one step forward, I took one step forward. And you know what? If I didn't take one step forward, it's just a week. I'll take one step forward this week. I got my whole life in front of me. So I love that you're giving yourself grace, and girl, you got to celebrate, because 17 podcasts ready to go, to have a podcast, to have a new baby. That's big. That's huge.
Yeah. Thank you. With goal setting and you being such a goal getter, how do you see that looking differently for parents? Like, what would you advise any parent looking in? So yes, definitely the celebration, the wins from reflecting back and looking at moving forward. But whether you have a newborn or a super active toddler, or, whatever age your child is, sometimes it's almost like you may have some fear around starting, because you're not sure if you can keep it up, or it just feels like a lot of work, or the other things that may come up for anyone listening. And really, what would your advice be for them to just like start or consider starting or whatever?
I have 3 things that I think are really important when you're setting goals, and I think they're especially important for parents. I think one of the other things that comes up, by the way, I just want to touch on this, is I think there's a lot of guilt or a lot of like selfishness that comes up, or like people think they have to be a mama martyr. So that's another thing I really see. You're entitled to have a goal. You're entitled to have a dream.
Time,
like
I'm
you
sorry.
are.
It just
if you
cut.
are.
So after you said mama martyr,
you are entitled to have a goal. Oh, okay. So you having guilt, you feeling selfish, or you being a mama martyr, that's not serving you. And you, just like anybody else, whether you're a parent or not, you deserve to have a dream, and you deserve to have a goal, and you deserve time for you. Like we said at the beginning, if you're exhausted, you're just going to be putting out exhaust. So I think that is just, I want to give you full permission to have a goal and have a dream if you want to have one. And I'm a believer that everyone needs to have a goal. It gives us some direction. It gives us some purpose, and it should be something that excites you or makes you joyful, brings something positive to your life. So guilt and mama martyrdom and selfishness, that has no place in this. So let's just put that out there. So to help you with a goal, I think one of the most common mistakes everybody makes, and especially when you're a parent, one goal, like pick one thing. So next year, like, do not plan to start a podcast and a YouTube channel and write your book and have another baby and launch your bricks and mortar business. And so many people do that. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons they get to the end of the year, or the end of January, and they're like, I suck. I can't do this. What's wrong with me? Everyone else can do it. Okay, I guess I might as well give up. And I think that if you just shift that to one goal, one focus at a time, that reminds you it's a marathon, not a sprint. You have one thing to focus on. And even if you only have, let's say you have 10 minutes a day, that's an hour a week. That's 52 hours. That's more than a full week if you had a whole year. And if that's all you had was 10 minutes a day, you will see progress. And there's nothing more motivating. There's nothing more inspiring than seeing progress. Yeah. And I think it's really important to make sure that goal, by the way, if you are someone who is already exhausted and overwhelmed, your goal just needs to be getting you into a place where you are happy in your life and you are thriving. So that 10 minutes is like, whatever you want. You want a bubble bath in that 10 minutes. You want to watch Riverdale and watch Archie fight for 10 minutes. You do that. If you want to save up your time and go to a yoga class weeks, that's going to make you feel better. Like, it's gotta start with you. You got to feel good first. So I think one goal and dedicating time for that is the best way to do it for parents. Yeah. Second thing I want to say is getting honest about capacity. You have a 22-month-old. She's at home most of the time. You have a 3-month-old. Like, your capacity right now is different than it was 3 years ago. And it's different than it's going to be in 3 years. You know, each one of us are in different seasons. We have different life situations. Yeah. And I gotta make this caveat too. So I think it's important to be really honest about your capacity and not guilt yourself or shame yourself or make it wrong or anything like that. And I also want to say that you have the option and the power to change that, you can choose to change that. So let me give you an example. You know, my life, my husband works away, so my capacity is less. And I can say that, and I can also say that it's a choice. Like, if we wanted to, we could choose. He could get a job closer to home that didn't require as much travel. We'd probably have to move houses. We may have to downsize our lifestyle. We'd have to change some things, and that's a choice I can still do, and I can still change that. That's my choice. Yeah. But right now, my honest capacity is I'm okay with that trade-off. I'm okay with that change. And that means my capacity is a bit lower than it would be if he was at home full time. Yeah. So that is where I think that is really important. And this is anybody, is what is your real capacity? If you've already got, I was chatting with women earlier today, full-time job, 2 children, husband travels, wants to start a side business. Okay, let's get honest here. What is your capacity and what are you willing to choose? Are you willing to maybe go down to an 80% in your full-time job? Are you willing to hire in help or outsource things? Are you willing to do a mama exchange? You take the kids on a Saturday, they take your kids on a Sunday, and you get a full day to do your thing. Like, what is your real capacity and what are you willing to choose and play with to make your goal happen? Yeah. And that's, and whatever that choice is for you, that's okay. You can choose, again, 10 minutes a day, an hour a day, 5 hours a day. You're ultimately in control of your life, and you get to choose what that looks like. Yeah, that's really good. Third thing, thanks. Yeah. I'm glad you find that helpful. The third thing I think that all parents need to do is we need to ask for help. We were not meant to do this alone. And that might mean asking for help with your children. That might mean asking for help around the house. That might mean asking for help in business if you're growing it, or at work. But honestly, just asking for help. And you don't need to be the one that's always organizing the social events. You don't need to be the one that's hosting every dinner, or if you're hosting dinner, you don't need to be cooking it all. You can have a potluck. That's okay too, right? Yeah. Asking for help and just being upfront about what you need in this season of life, I think helps so much, because we don't raise children alone, and we don't create amazing things and amazing goals on our own. We're always this whole like self-made thing, self-made millionaire, self-made entrepreneur. No, like none of us are self-made.
It truly takes a village. Yeah,
it does. And you actually giving people a gift. People want to help you. People want to be a part of your life. They want to be a part of your family's life. And if they don't, you got the wrong people in your life. There are other people that will love your children and be the support that you need. I know that. So give other people that gift too, of being able to help you and give back to you.
I love that. Yeah. And allowing people to help, you're actually like serving them too. I think that is such an alien concept for most moms. And even me before being a mom, because it's so easy for me to give. And it's been a process to allow myself to receive from others, to receive help, to receive whatever. But yeah, when you allow people to help, because they also want to feel helpful, our kids at such early ages love to help. It's just part of our nature. And so when we allow someone to take that space and do that, we're actually allowing them to have that blessing, and just that thought right there is just to wrap that around is our head sometimes is something fun to stretch into.
It is. Yeah.
With what you just said, I think that definitely allowing yourself, how you shared, being able to know what you need and changing that, like changing the direction that you need to go to. And I just wanted to reiterate, sometimes we choose something and then we get into it and we realize, oh, wait, that's not feeling like it's not feeling like it's gelling or whatever it is. Continuing to give yourself permission to change versus just like the one time you're like, okay, no, this is it. Like, here we go. Like, this is going to happen now. Maybe in your mind, you hear all these other like self-talk about like, oh, you always change your mind. You said this was a thing and now you're going to change it. It's like, you know what? It's cool. Like, here's a new direction. We can't expect us to, because we're all ever changing, right? We can't expect just to go down this one line. If it's not serving, it's not serving, and cool. I actually have this really random, hold on. By the way, that was the slowest roll with my chair. It's like I was just like stretching and nothing was happening. I have this super random, very sharp apparently, metal staircase. And it's perfect because I feel like life sometimes is a spiral staircase. And I talk about this with my coaching clients because you take all these steps in life and you feel like you're going in circles. And it's not until you get to the top of the staircase, or at least a top ring of the spiral, and you look down, everything fit perfectly into getting to where you are.
I love that. That is so cool.
Because sometimes you just feel like you're going sideways. You know what I mean? And so as you decide to shift, that shift is actually getting you to the next step. And so anyway, this is about you and what you're doing. It's just like, you have me so hype. Like, I'm like, yeah, like, let's just go. Like, the energy is so real. And meanwhile, my son is sleeping through all of it. But yeah, it's just so real. And we don't always talk about that. We don't hear like just real conversations about that because we see all these steps as fails.
That is so good. I love that. And if anybody's just like listening, like watch the video and check out the staircase because it's really, I've never heard it described that way. And I think that is so incredibly powerful. That is so true. It's all an evolution. And I think the only mistake that we ever make is thinking that we're wrong and making ourselves wrong.
Yeah. And then we stop what could be for not just ourselves, our families and the community, greater than us. Right.
Totally.
Okay. So Lisa, I know you had some sort of goodness for us to share more about like goal setting or just in general, like the awesomeness that what is that you wanted to share with us today?
Oh, I actually don't have a good answer to this.
Awesome. I know. And that's normally what the pre-show is for. But no, is there anything that comes? I'm like, just putting on the spot as I do. You're welcome. That's what I do.
And I was like, do I make something up? I was like, no, I just got to be honest. I'm like, we were going to chat about that and we did not. So I guess like what's most helpful for parents? I've got a lot of different things that I create. Whatever's most helpful for parents.
Yeah. So in your mind, so kind of like looking at where you are right now, what feels like what you're most excited to share in this moment that comes to you intuitively?
Okay. 2 things come to me. Number 1, I think one of the best things I ever did was to learn to just plan my week. And it's not super complicated. It takes like 30 minutes once a week and it'll save you hours and frustration and all the things. So I would super recommend planning your weeks. And you can do this, by the way, just like on any piece of paper, take 30 minutes and plan your week. But I also have a weekly planner that comes with some tips that you can do on lisamshow.com/weekly.
Really quick, you just froze?
Cut out there?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you did. So you were just about to say about the freebie. So go ahead, or about the download. Go ahead and go from there.
Oh, okay. So you can plan your week on your own and just literally grab a piece of paper and open up your calendar, figure out what your priorities are. But I also have a little cheat sheet that you can grab at lisamshow.com/weekly. And it's my weekly planner. It just asks you, what are your goals and what are you going to do this week towards your goals? Very simple. And then of course, the question that I really encourage you to ask yourself, which is, one thing I did last week that I'm proud of is, because I do believe that that celebration piece is what's missing from a lot of our lives. We're just so busy going. We don't look back at how far we've come. Like with your staircase, we don't look back down towards the staircase. We just think we're in the same spot and haven't moved. When in fact, we're actually moving upwards and upwards and upwards and creating change. So I highly recommend grabbing that. There's some great tips in there on how to, make sure if you're going to plan your week, by the way, go all out. Like, message your girlfriends if you want to go for happy hour, book the sitter if you need to do that, talk to your partner about when they need to do pick up and drop off and all of those, coordinate those things. If you want to get your child and together with a play date, text all the moms or the dads right then and organize it. Like, set yourself up for the whole week ahead. And as a parent, I got to tell you this too. If you think you're going to work out, you want to work out 3 times, plan for 5. If you think it's going to take you 4 hours, plan for 8. Just give yourself space, give yourself grace, because kids are going to get sick. School is going to be closed. Your daycare is going to be shut down. Something is going to change. And the last thing you want to do is be up from, 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. trying to finish up the work because you didn't get it done. So give yourself less, plan for less, give yourself more time, and literally physically block that time in your calendar or your planet so it's there. Like, that is one of the things that I did before becoming a parent that was wonderful. And now having kids, I think it's just that even that much more important, because the communication that's required between, daycare and my partner and, family that's visiting, to make sure everyone, not that everyone's happy all the time, but that we are like communicating that our expectations are being met as closely as possible. So I think that's really great.
That's so good. Yeah.
I also want to say something that I'm being called to share is I do have on my podcast, I have 3 episodes all around time. And I think time is such a struggle for so many of us. And it's not as simple as just having more time. Like, if we just had more time, we'd still just fill it with stuff. Sorry to say. So my podcast is Goalden Girls Podcast, and it's episodes 7, 8, and 9. And I have a lot to say on time management, which is why it's 3 episodes. But it's a very different take on time. And it's not just about strategies and tools and tactics, because let's be honest, if that worked, we would all be millionaires sitting on the beach in Mexico making passive income with 6-pack abs. So it's not enough. Strategies is not enough. So I actually talk about some of the things that we talked about here today. Capacity, like, what is your actual goal? What's your intention? How do you want to show up? And also managing your energy. So I think there's some good things in there that any parent can take away and go deeper with themselves and what they want and how they want to then be intentional with their time, with their children or their business, and how that all integrates together.
I love that. I'll make sure to link all of this in the show notes as well. So if you're listening in, you're like, I need to write all the things, but you're also doing other things, we got you. So no, I love that. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for sharing who you are and sharing things to help us be our best selves as well. So that's super awesome.
Thank you for that chance. I really appreciate that. I truly hope that helps. Those are things that have helped me a lot. And the last thing I want is for other parents to be out there struggling and feeling like they can't do their dreams because they're a parent, or they can't have fun because they're a parent, or they can't dance on tables because they're a parent, or whatever that script is.
Please go and dance on a table this week, guys. If you're listening to this, please, and record it and share it with us.
Tag me.
I will put all the social. Yeah, please do. Tag me too, because I want to see. And we will reply by dancing, possibly on a table too. Maybe not. Maybe
100%. I will.
I need to find a strong table because I still have the postpartum weight. There is just so much extra of me to love right now.
A bar. I think you just need to up the ante and just go right to a bar.
And let's do it. So I have a couple more questions for you, and just to kind of wrap an awesome bow around our time together, because I know that, of course, my Caribbean time start, I want to still, even though I know we're still a little bit late now, we're just going to flow fast in a good way. So Lisa, with your daughter being 22 months old, and how they're already sponges as is. And like, sometimes like, I think we don't even realize how much they really like take in until later on. We're like, oh, you saw that. Oh, okay. Or I just see her do like certain mannerisms. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. So with that being said, what would you want once your daughter starts forming full sentences and like just sharing with you in life, what would you want her to be able to say about who it is that you're being?
I want her to say, I hope that what she's saying is that I'm authentic, that I'm imperfect, that I'm honest about that I'm intentional, and that I'm fun, and that it's messy. Like, I hope that she sees all of that that being, and that it just gives her permission to be any or all or none of those things, however, whatever authenticity is to her and whatever intention is for her. But for me right now, it's really about the fun, the loving, the honest, the messy, the imperfect, and the enough.
I love that. It's like we should all just color outside the lines, truly, because no one could truly color all the way in the line anyway, being honest. No, but I love that. And what a cool thing to say, and that she will say, about you too.
That's such a great question. And I hope that anybody listening, like, ask yourself this too, because when you just asked that brought up so much emotion. And that's just such a great question for each one of us to be asking ourselves, because it really comes down to, who are we being with our children? Like, how are we showing up in our lives and for them? So I encourage anybody that just heard that question, ask yourself that, because that's so important. It's not about what you're doing. It's about how your kids are going to see you a being.
Yeah. Well, it goes right back to what you were saying at the beginning of the show. They are a reflection back to you of how you're being and how everything is going. And so, one day when they share these things with you, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like in the midst of feeling like everything was going wrong, I did something right. Right.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't feel like it at the time. And to be honest, guys, we all do the best we can at every time. Like in every moment, we're doing the best we can. And just, again, it's all about grace, because that's what helps the boat float. Speaking back to you, Lisa, and your boat. I'm like, how do I go back from that? I'm like, because apparently you have a boat now. Do you actually have a boat? Side note.
I wish I had a boat. Yeah,
I'm speaking that into existence for you. It's gonna be like a really nice boat.
Oh, thank you.
And one day,
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm owning that. Are you gonna come on the boat with me?
I was just about to say, I'm there with wine and cheese.
Perfect. All right.
Yes.
Me dancing on the table in the boat. Yeah. We're doing it.
It's going to be a very strong table.
It'll be a bar. It's a whole bar.
We're going to have a bar. See, this is the kind of boat that we need. So, okay. So last question for you. With all the things that you've experienced in your journey. Hi. You're just staring at me. That's kind of awkward, little one. So with all the things that you're being with your daughter and with Blythe, your husband, like all the roles that you fill and things that you love, going back to a time in the essence of you being a mom, whatever comes to mind, if you could go back and revisit that mom that you were then, what would you share with her today?
I would say that you're always going to be figuring it out, that it's always going to be an evolution, and that the most important thing is to just tap into who you are, what's most important right now, and who do you want to be. And everything else comes from that. If you know that, if you know who you are, how you want to feel, who you want to be, and what's important to you, everything else becomes clear. And that's going to change. That's going to change. I remember when I first had my daughter, I was like, I'm never going to go to work. And then I remember a couple months later, I was like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
And that's just my journey.
That stage is so sweet. It doesn't happen for everybody, but I am one of those two that are just like, get me out. It's like Timon and Pumbaa when like in the first Lion King. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, totally. And so I think just permission for it to change and for that to be okay. And that you don't have to have it all figured out. And that I think for me to know that I have the answers within me, and that it's okay for it to be an evolution and for it to change. And I'm going to say it again because it's so important. It's a marathon and not a sprint. I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to have all 6 babies right now.
Did you say 6 babies?
Yeah, it's like a dream, but I don't think it'll happen. But
that's an amazing dream. Did you see my face? That was more for me. I was like,
that's my husband's face too. Yeah, that's my. That's awesome. Exactly. So it probably won't happen, but I just think to like give permission for it to take time, and that's okay, and to just be in this moment. So I think that's what I would say to myself, and that's anybody that's listening. That's like, how do I navigate this? Like, just right. It's going to change. Know that you have the right answer in you, and that it's just a growth. Did I freeze again?
It did. So you were saying just knowing that it's going to change. Man, I'm so proud of my mom brain right now. I'm like, that was the last thing I heard you say.
That was impressive. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just knowing that it's going to change, and that's okay. And the only thing that matters is right here, right now, how you're feeling and what you want, and give yourself permission for that to be the truth.
Awesome. Dude, you are so awesome and such a powerhouse. Seriously. like a parent, everything awesome person, and just your energy is really, really cool. So I really appreciate who you are. And I appreciate your time today on the show and just the grace that you had, and also reflecting that back to me as I came on late. And as you guys all saw at the beginning of the show, all the things that were happening. So Lisa, what is the best way for those listening? Because they're going to want to connect with you. I mean, like, come on. What's the best way for them to connect with you further?
Thank you. I just gotta say, like, I literally have tears in my eyes because I love this connection with you too. And I think like this is our first time getting to know each other, and I love you. I feel like we're already best friends. And I think what you're doing is incredible. You are so inspiring, being here with your two babes and showing up. And so thank you for showing me and showing all of us what it means to be more than a parent too. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's really amazing. I would love to connect with you guys. I think that parenting can be really isolating, but I love connecting with other women and other parents. So Instagram is a place I am the most these days. Cool. And I'm sure I'm going to listen to this in 5 years and be like, how old was I? But for now, I'm on Instagram. I'm actually on all the platforms, and it's just The Lisa Me Show. And that's LISAMICHAUD. But you don't have to write that down because I'm sure Cass is going to put that in the show notes, right?
You guys.
Yeah, and I'd love to connect. And if you heard something in this episode that spoke to you, I'd love to hear. If you are dancing on a table, oh my gosh, tag me because I will be doing it with you.
Yes.
And I'd love to be a part of your parenting journey too, and helping make sure that you're enjoying the moments and living it as fully as you can.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa, for everything. We appreciate you.
Thank you too.
All right, you guys, that was a little bit of a longer show because I did a little bit more of an intro at the beginning, but was that not worth it? Lisa is just awesome. I'm sure you could feel her energy as I did on the call. That was our first time ever chatting and connecting. So it was just really cool to go into it the way that we did, right? All hot mama messing and all. And also the deliverable, like the value of what she shared with us. Make sure I'll have that in the show notes on how to get a copy of that workbook experience, so that you can make this your best year yet, not just in all the things that you're doing, but in also who it is that you're deciding to be. With that, my friends, I leave you. Have an awesome rest of your day, of your week, and have an amazing 2020. And, I know you'll be back, but I'm just letting you know that because, 'tis the time to say that. But please come back for more episodes. Bye. Thank you for listening in.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than a Parent. To be your more, live your and.
Continue the conversation and connect at facebook.com/groups/more than a parent.